Hello there. I'm so glad you've decided to take this time for yourself today. Have you ever felt like you're living your life according to a script you didn't actually write? Like there's a set of rules in your head telling you how to act, how to feel, and what to believe, but you can't quite remember when you agreed to any of them. If you've ever felt the weight of self-judgment or the pressure to be someone you're not just to fit in, then you are in the right place. Today, we are diving deep into a set of principles that have the power to completely transform the way you experience your reality. The core purpose of this journey is to help you identify and break the invisible chains of self-limiting beliefs that rob you of your joy and create unnecessary suffering in your life. We are talking about returning to your natural state of being, which is happiness, love, and liberty. In his transformative work, Miguel Ruiz introduces us to the idea that everything we do is based on agreements we have made, agreements with ourselves, with other people, with God, and with life itself. Most of these agreements, however, were made unconsciously. They were handed down to us by society, our families, and our culture long before we had the power to choose for ourselves. The most important takeaway we will explore is the concept of domestication. This is the process by which we learn how to live and how to dream according to everyone else's expectations. We'll look at how this process created a dream of the planet that we all participate in, often at the expense of our own authentic selves. We will also touch upon the idea that by replacing these old, restrictive agreements with 4 specific, powerful new ones, we can shatter the foggy mirror that prevents us from seeing who we truly are. By the time we finish, you'll understand that your word is a form of magic, that nothing other people do is actually about you, and that your best effort is the only standard that truly matters. This isn't about adding more to-dos to your list. It's about unlearning the things that make you suffer. Before we move into the heart of these teachings, if you find this summary helpful, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to stay connected for more deep dives like this one. Now, let's begin our journey into the essence of the Toltec wisdom. Main summary: the path to Toltec wisdom. To understand how to change our lives, we first have to understand where our current reality comes from. The book begins by explaining that what we perceive as reality is actually a dream. This isn't a dream we have only while we are asleep. It is a collective dream that is functioning every moment we are awake. This is what the Toltec tradition calls the dream of the planet. The dream of the planet includes all of society's rules, its beliefs, its laws, its religions, and its different cultures. Before we were even born, the humans who came before us created this massive collective dream. They used their focus and their language to teach us the rules of this dream. As children, we didn't have the opportunity to choose our beliefs. We were told what to believe, what was good, what was bad, what was beautiful, and what was ugly. We agreed to this information because we wanted the love and attention of the adults around us. This process is called human domestication. Point 1. The process of domestication and the inner judge. The concept of domestication is fundamental to understanding why we feel the way we do. Just as we domesticate a dog or a cat through a system of punishment and reward, humans are domesticated in the exact same way. When we did what our parents or teachers wanted, we were rewarded with praise and good attention. When we didn't, we were punished, because the fear of punishment and the fear of not getting the reward became so strong. We started pretending to be someone we weren't just to please others. We started to wear masks. Eventually, we became so well trained that we no longer needed a parent or a teacher to punish us. We began to domesticate ourselves. We carry a book of law in our minds, filled with all the rules we were taught. Every time we do something that goes against the book of law, our inner judge finds us guilty and punishes us. The victim part of our mind carries the blame, the guilt, and the shame. This cycle happens over and over again. Even if we make a mistake once, we judge ourselves for it 1,000 times. Every time the memory comes up, we punish ourselves again. This is the foundation of human suffering. The belief that we are not good enough because we do not fit the image of perfection that society created for us. The importance of recognizing this cannot be overstated. Once you see that most of your suffering is based on agreements you never chose, you realize that you have the power to change them. You are the one who is keeping yourself in a mental prison, which means you are also the one who holds the key. For example, if you believe you are bad at public speaking because a teacher laughed at you when you were 8, that is an agreement you are still honoring today. Understanding domestication allows you to look at that belief and decide if it's actually true or just an old rule from your book of law. Now we move to the next point, which introduces the first and most powerful tool for breaking these old cycles and reclaiming our personal power. Point 2. The first agreement. Be impeccable with your word. The first agreement is the most important one, but it is also the most difficult to honor. It is the agreement to be impeccable with your word. On the surface, this sounds like a simple instruction to not lie, but the book explains it on a much deeper, energetic level. Your word is not just a tool for communication. It is the power you have to create. It is the gift that comes directly from God. Through the word, you manifest everything. The word impeccable comes from the Latin peccatus, which means sin. The prefix im means without. So, to be impeccable is to be without sin. In this context, a sin is anything that you do that goes against yourself. You sin when you use your word to judge, blame, or insult yourself or others. When you are impeccable with your word, you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself. Your word is like a seed, and the human mind is like a fertile soil. The problem is that most of the time, we are sowing seeds of black magic rather than white magic. We use our words to spread gossip, which the book compares to a computer virus. Gossip is the most poisonous form of communication in the dream of the planet. We use it to feel superior or to pull others down to our level of suffering. When we say something negative about someone else, we think we are hurting them. But in reality, we are hurting ourselves because that person will then harbor resentment toward us, and that negative energy comes back to us. Being impeccable with your word means using your energy in the direction of truth and love for yourself. Think about how often you tell yourself, "I'm so stupid," or "I'm so ugly." Every time you do that, you are using your word against yourself. You are casting a spell on yourself. If you can change this one agreement, if you begin to use your word to express only beauty, love, and truth, you will see your life transform before your eyes. It is the first step toward freedom because it cleanses the poison out of your mind. Now we move to the next point, where we learn how to protect ourselves from the words and actions of others so that we are no longer vulnerable to their spells. Point 3. The second agreement. Don't take anything personally. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. This agreement provides a massive amount of emotional freedom. The reason we take things personally is because of something called personal importance. Personal importance is the maximum expression of selfishness because we assume that everything is about me. We think that we are responsible for everything, but the truth, as the book points out, is that nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of them. All people live in their own dream, in their own mind. They are in a completely different world than the one you are in. When you take something personally, you are assuming that the other person knows what is in your world, and you are trying to impose your world on theirs. If someone sees you on the street and says, "Hey, you are so stupid," without even knowing you, it isn't about you, it's about them. If you take it personally, then you believe you are stupid. You hook into their opinion, and their poison becomes yours. But if you do not take it personally, you are immune in the middle of hell. This applies to both insults and praise. If someone tells you how wonderful you are, you shouldn't take that personally either. You know you are wonderful. You don't need someone else to tell you that to make it true. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering, your anger, jealousy, and even your sadness will begin to disappear if you truly stop taking things personally. Imagine you are at work and your boss is in a terrible mood and yells at you. If you take it personally, you might spend the whole day feeling hurt and questioning your worth. But if you remember that your boss is simply dealing with their own dream, maybe they had a fight with their spouse or are feeling overwhelmed, you realize their reaction has nothing to do with your competence. You stay centered in your own peace. Now we move to the next point, which addresses the way we perceive reality and the stories we tell ourselves to fill in the gaps of our understanding. Point 4. The third agreement. Don't make assumptions. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. We have a tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. We could swear they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. We take it personally, and then we blame them and react by sending emotional poison with our word. This is why whenever we make assumptions, we are asking for problems. We make an assumption, we misunderstand, we take it personally, and we end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Think about that for a moment. Most of our conflicts are based on things that haven't even actually happened outside of our own imagination. We make the assumption that everyone sees life the way we do. We assume that others think the way we think, feel the way we feel, judge the way we judge, and abuse the way we abuse. This is the biggest assumption humans make, and this is why we have a fear of being ourselves around others, because we think everyone else will judge us, victimize us, abuse us, and blame us as we do ourselves. So even before others have a chance to reject us, we have already rejected ourselves. The way to keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. Ensure that communication is clear. If you don't understand, ask. Have the courage to ask questions until you are as clear as you can be. And even then, do not assume you know all there is to know about a given situation. Once you hear the answer, you will not have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. Also, find your voice to ask for what you want. Everybody has the right to tell you no or yes, but you always have the right to ask. Likewise, everybody has the right to ask you, and you have the right to say yes or no. For example, if you're in a relationship and you assume your partner knows exactly what you need without you saying it, you are setting yourself up for disappointment. When they don't do what you expected, you feel hurt and think, they should have known. But they didn't know because you made an assumption instead of having a clear conversation. Clear communication changes everything. Now we move to the next point, which is the agreement that allows the first three to become a solid habit and a permanent part of your life. Point 5. The fourth agreement, always do your best. The fourth agreement is always do your best. This agreement is the one that allows the other three to become deeply ingrained. Under any circumstance, always do your best, no more and no less. But keep in mind that your best is never going to be the same from one moment to the next. Everything is alive and changing all the time. So your best will sometimes be high quality, and other times it will not be as good. Your best will be different when you are healthy as opposed to when you are sick. It will be different when you are sober as opposed to when you are tired. Your best will depend on whether you're feeling happy and rejuvenated or upset and angry. In your everyday moods, your best can change from 1 hour to the next, or from morning to night. Regardless of the quality, keep doing your best, no more and no less. If you try too hard to do more than your best, you will spend more energy than is needed. And in the end, your best will not be enough. When you overdo it, you deplete your body and go against yourself, and it will take you longer to reach your goal. But if you do less than your best, you subject yourself to frustrations, self-judgment, guilt, and regrets. Doing your best means you are taking action because you love the action, not because you are expecting a reward. Most people do the opposite. They only take action when they expect a reward, and they don't enjoy the action. And that's the reason why they don't do their best. If you take action just for the sake of doing it, without expecting a reward, you will find that you enjoy every action you do. The rewards will come, but you are not attached to them. When you always do your best, you break a big spell that has been under you. If you do your best, the inner judge has no ammunition to use against you. If you did your best and the outcome wasn't what you wanted, you can still feel good because you didn't hold back. You don't have to judge yourself. And if you don't judge yourself, there is no way you are going to suffer from guilt or self-punishment. By always doing your best, you become a master of transformation. Mastery comes from practice. By doing your best, you become a master. Everything you have ever learned, you learn through repetition. You learn to write, to drive, and even to walk by doing it over and over again. It's the same with these agreements. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to do your best. Now we move to the next point, where we look at the internal obstacles that make keeping these agreements so challenging. The battle within our own minds. Point 6. the parasite and the mastery of awareness. In the Toltec tradition, the mind is often described as being occupied by a parasite. This parasite is composed of the judge, the victim, and the belief system we were given during our domestication. It is called a parasite because it feeds on our emotional energy, specifically the negative energy of fear, guilt, and suffering. To become free, we must first develop awareness. This is the mastery of awareness. You cannot change what you do not perceive. If you aren't aware that your mind is filled with wounds and emotional poison, you cannot begin to clean it. We must become aware of the dream of the planet and how it is different from our personal dream. The first step toward freedom is the realization that we are dreaming. We need to see the book of law that rules our lives and realize that we are the ones who are allowing the judge to punish the victim within us. When you start to pay attention to your thoughts, you begin to see how the parasite operates. You see how it uses the word against you, how it makes you take things personally, and how it encourages you to make assumptions. The path of the Toltec warrior is the path of someone who declares war against this parasite. It is not a war against other people. It's an internal war for our own independence. The warrior has the awareness that the parasite is there and uses the 4 agreements as tools to starve it. Every time you don't take something personally, you are refusing to feed the parasite. Every time you are impeccable with your word, you are strengthening your own spirit and weakening the parasite's hold on your mind. This mastery of awareness is the foundation of everything else. It requires being present in the moment. If you are living in the past or worrying about the future, you are not aware of what is happening in the now. The parasite loves the past and the future because that is where guilt and fear live. In the present moment, the parasite has no power. Now we move to the next point, which details the actual process of changing our internal landscape once we have become aware of it. Point 7. The mastery of transformation, cleaning the wounds. Once we have the awareness that our mind is full of agreements that cause us to suffer, we enter the mastery of transformation. This is the process of unlearning what we have already learned. It is the process of replacing the thousands of tiny agreements that make us miserable with the 4 agreements that lead to freedom. The book compares our emotional mind to a human body covered in infected wounds. Imagine your skin is covered with sores that are full of pus. If someone touches you, it hurts, and you react with anger or pain. Most of us have an emotional body that is exactly like that. Our wounds are our fears and our hurts from the past. When someone says something that touches a wound, we react. We think they are hurting us. But the truth is they are just touching a wound that was already there. To heal these wounds, we must use the medicine of the 4 agreements. But before we can heal, we must forgive. Forgiveness is the only way to heal the wounds. We must forgive those who have hurt us, not because they deserve to be forgiven, but because we love ourselves so much that we don't want to keep paying for those hurts. We must also, and most importantly, forgive ourselves. You will know you have forgiven someone when you can see them or hear their name, and you no longer have an emotional reaction. The wound is closed. The scar might remain, but it no longer hurts when it's touched. This transformation is not something that happens overnight. It is a slow, steady process of choosing truth over lies and love over fear. As we clean our emotional kitchen, we stop living in the dream of the hell and start moving toward a different kind of dream. We stop being the victim of our own history and start being the creator of our own destiny. We begin to see that we have the power to create a dream of heaven right here on earth, simply by changing the agreements we live by. Now we move to the next point, which explores one of the most profound teachers in the Toltec tradition, the concept of mortality and how it can actually lead us to a more vibrant life. Point 8. The initiation of the dead, using the angel of death as a teacher. To truly become free, the Toltec wisdom suggests we must undergo a symbolic death. This is what is called the initiation of the dead. It sounds dark, but it is actually a beautiful and liberating concept. The angel of death is always with us, and instead of fearing it, we can use it as a guide to teach us how to live. The angel of death teaches us that any moment could be our last. If we truly understood this, not just as an idea, but as a felt reality, how would we change the way we live? We would stop taking things personally. We would stop wasting our precious energy on gossip or self-judgment. If you knew you only had 1 week to live, would you spend it worrying about what your neighbor thinks of you? Would you spend it being angry at someone for a mistake they made years ago? Of course not. The angel of death comes to us and says, "Everything you see here belongs to me. Your house, your partner, your children, your body, they are all mine, and I can take them whenever I want. But for right now, you can use them." When we live with this awareness, we develop a deep sense of gratitude for everything we have. We stop trying to possess things and start enjoying them. This perspective helps us kill the parasite we talked about earlier. The parasite is made of the past, old wounds, old agreements, and old regrets. By accepting the death of the past, we allow the parasite to die with it. We choose to live in the present, which is the only place where life actually exists. Every morning we wake up as a gift, and the angel of death reminds us to live that day as if it were the only one we have. It clears away the clutter of the mind and leaves only what is essential: love and the joy of being alive. Now we move to the next point, where we bring all these tools together to understand the ultimate goal of the Toltec path, becoming a master of our own life. Point 9. The mastery of intent and the artist of the spirit. The final mastery in the Toltec path is the mastery of intent, which is also called the mastery of love. In this context, intent is not just a goal or a plan. It is the energy that makes everything happen. It is life itself. It is that part of us that is connected to the divine. When we master our intent, we are no longer reacting to the world around us. We are consciously creating it. The book describes a human being as an artist of the spirit. Your life is your canvas, and every action you take, every word you speak, and every emotion you feel is a stroke of paint on that canvas. Most people are unconscious artists. They are painting a masterpiece of suffering and drama because they don't realize they're the ones holding the brush. They think the dream of the planet is painting them. But as you practice the 4 agreements, you begin to take the brush back. You realize that you have the power to create a beautiful dream. You move from being a victim of your circumstances to being the master of your life. This mastery is about the flow of energy. When you are impeccable with your word, when you don't take things personally, and when you don't make assumptions, you stop leaking energy. You become a reservoir of power. This power is then used to fuel your intent. When your intent is aligned with love, you become a magnet for more love. You realize that you don't need to go looking for love outside of yourself. Love is what you are. It is the energy that flows through you. The mastery of love is the result of cleaning all the emotional wounds and the parasite out of your mind. It is the state where you love yourself so much that you no longer have a need for others to validate you or make you happy. You are already whole. For example, an artist of the spirit might encounter a difficult situation at work. A project fails or a colleague is rude. Instead of reacting with the old agreements of anger or blame, they use their mastery to stay calm. They see the situation clearly. They do their best to fix it, and they move on without carrying the emotional weight of it. They are consciously choosing to keep their canvas clean. Now we move to the next point, which describes the ultimate destination of this journey, a state of being that is available to all of us right here and now. Point 10. The new dream, creating heaven on earth. The culmination of the teachings in the book is the realization that heaven is not a place we go to after we die. It is a state of mind we can inhabit while we are alive. Just as the dream of the planet can be a living hell filled with fear and suffering, we have the capacity to create a new dream, a dream of heaven on earth. This new dream is a life of freedom. It is a life where you are free to be who you truly are without the fear of being judged by others or, more importantly, by yourself. In this dream, you no longer live your life trying to satisfy the expectations of your parents, your boss, or society. You live your life to satisfy yourself. You are no longer afraid of being rejected because you have stopped rejecting yourself. In the new dream, the way you perceive the world changes. You look at the trees, the sky, and other people with the eyes of love. You feel a sense of connection to everything because you are no longer separated by the fog of your own judgments and assumptions. You understand that everything is a manifestation of the same one life force. This isn't just a nice idea. It is a practical reality that comes from the consistent application of the 4 agreements. When you live by these agreements, the internal war in your mind ends. There is peace. And where there is peace, happiness follows naturally. Happiness is not something you have to work for. It is your natural state of being that was simply covered up by the old, toxic agreements. The book invites us to imagine a life where we live without the fear of being judged, without the fear of being hurt, and without the fear of death. Imagine living with the courage to change your life and the wisdom to know that you are responsible for your own happiness. This is the promise of the Toltec path. It is a path of return, a return to the joy and the freedom we all had as very young children, before we were domesticated into the dream of the planet. As we bring this journey to a close, it is important to reflect on the sheer simplicity and immense power of what we've explored. The path to personal freedom isn't paved with complex rituals or hidden secrets. It is built upon 4 simple, yet profound, promises you make to yourself. By choosing to be impeccable with your word, you stop the flow of emotional poison and start creating a reality based on truth and love. By refusing to take anything personally, you dismantle the power that others have over your emotional state, making yourself immune to the spells of judgment and gossip. When you stop making assumptions, you replace the drama of misunderstanding with the clarity of communication. And finally, by always doing your best, you ensure that the inner judge has no ground to stand on, allowing you to live without the heavy burden of regret or guilt. Don Miguel Ruiz reminds us that we were born in a state of love and happiness. It was only through the process of domestication, the invisible script of the dream of the planet, that we learn to suffer and believe that we are not enough. But that domestication is not your destiny. It is merely a collection of old agreements that no longer serve you. The beauty of the Toltec wisdom is that it places the power back where it belongs, in your hands. You are the author of your own story. You are the artist of your own spirit. Transforming your life is not about trying to change the world around you. It is about changing the way you interact with yourself and the beliefs you choose to uphold. It requires courage to break those old habits, and it requires patience to practice the 4 agreements every single day, especially when it's difficult. Remember, your best will change from moment to moment, and that is okay. What matters is the intent behind the action. If you fall down and break an agreement today, don't judge yourself. That would just be the parasite trying to regain control. Instead, simply start again. Every moment is an opportunity to make a new agreement. Every moment is an opportunity to move closer to your own personal dream of heaven. You now have the tools to break the foggy mirror and see the light that has always been within you. The choice to be free, to be happy, and to live in love is yours to make, right here and right now. Thank you for spending this time with me, and for being willing to look inward. Your journey toward a life of freedom has already begun.